Ikari Warriors is a vertical scrolling run-and-gun shooter developed by SNK. Originally for the arcade, it was later ported to the NES in 1987. Now just look at that title screen. It's simple yet so awesome, and it really gets you pumped up for playing. But is the game worth it? The story focuses on the two main characters, which the NES manual names Paul and Vince. Although it seems like their actual names are Ralph Jones and Clark, so I'm not sure why there was a difference there. But they have secret orders to invade an enemy nation in Central America and rescue General Alexandra Bond from the band of revolutionaries. On their way to their destination, their plane is shot down in the jungle, and now the two commandos must battle their way through the jungle to reach Ikari Village and rescue the general. The first level sees the two heroes battle through the jungle they crash landed in, then through a temple region in the second level, and it's not specifically told this, but I assume the third level, which I'll call the factory, is actually Ikari Village, but it's some kind of military facility of some kind. By the end of this level, the heroes discover who I assume to be General Alexandra Bond dead in his chair. If anyone ever bothered to actually care about this story, this is probably the first plot twist in a video game. But after some searching around, they discover a secret underground floor which brings them to the next and final level. After traversing the underground, they reach the final boss, who is some kind of evil cyborg. Well, once you beat this boss, one of the most underwhelming endings I have ever seen greets your eyes. Well, the story is simple, and it takes a little bit of imagination, but does a good job at setting up the motivation for the characters to proceed forward with. I suppose it gets a pass in my book. I rather liked the graphics in this game. I thought the environments were well detailed and varied overall. The enemy designs were also detailed. The opening cutscene was a nice touch and really added another layer of depth to the story. Moving from one level to the next gave a new and varied environment and felt refreshing, seeing the jungles in the first stages, temples in the second, and the factories in the final levels. The environmental effects were also a really nice touch. I liked blasting through doorways and walls to get to the next areas, and falling into pits or going up ledges gave a game a different level of verticality to a otherwise 2D experience. Graphics get a good score in my book. Like most run-and-gun shooters, good sound is essential for a satisfying feedback loop to the player. I have no complaints in this department. The sounds in-game are nice, but nothing really special. As far as I could tell, there were two music tracks and both get the job done. Overall, nice job on sound. The controls at first glance seem totally fine. The directional pad moves, A fires your machine gun, and B throws your grenades. Pressing B next to a friendly tank or helicopter will allow you to enter it, and pressing B and A will allow you to exit that vehicle. And pressing and holding B with the directional pad will rotate your turret in the tank or helicopter. Gun and grenade ammunition are shown in the upper left hand of the screen along with the player's score. Initially you are given 3 lives, although they are not visible on the screen. And every 20,000 points you are granted an additional life. And sorry folks, there is no health bar. In one hit, you are dead. Later on, we will talk about how this is a huge negative, but for the most part, the controls are simple and give the player a lot of control in how to progress through the game. The devil, however, is in the details. For your movement speed is simply too slow to avoid enemy attacks, and pair that with an extremely slow rate of fire on your gun makes dying literally second nature in this game. But that really isn't even the worst part. The worst part is the direction of your bullets as they fly. The angle makes it beyond difficult to kill enemies, and you have to be perfectly lined up in order to hit something with your gun. There are sections in this game where you will literally get stuck in positions where the enemy is heading at a specific angle that you could not possibly shoot them in without getting in their crossfire. Or during water levels, the enemies go underneath the water entirely, so you can't even hit them until it's too late. And to top it all off, you move slower in water, so you have a limited amount of time to even avoid them before they get you. The controls in this game just become horribly tedious, and they really are the worst part in my eyes. It's really sad that the controls suck so much because when the game is working, it really is fun to play. We talked a bit about the sluggish controls, and for that reason, I have to say that when you find a tank, do not lose it. The tanks in this game are super overpowered and move a bit faster than you do on foot, and they are immune to all enemy gunfire. However, they do die to grenades, explosions, bazookas, and other enemy tank fire. And just like on foot, the tanks die in one hit too. When you're in a tank and you're just blasting through the enemies, the game is fun. And there are some parts later in the game where you will need to take out some enemies on foot, then hop back into your tank to proceed. And I thought this was an awesome and somewhat realistic concept. The tank, however, does have a fuel limit and will explode if the counter ever reaches 0. Why a tank explodes when it reaches 0 fuel, I will never know. But for the most part, fuel isn't a huge issue and there is enough scattered around. The issue is during water sections. You will have to ditch your tank, and that's when the real hell begins. Water in this game is utter crap, to say the least. It puts you at a snail's crawl, and while that is annoying, nothing is worse than those underwater enemies I mentioned before. If they manage to come at you at the wrong angle, then there is no way you can avoid them. They are one of the cheapest enemy designs out of a game I have ever played. To help with your speed, however, you can get a special ability to move faster in the water, but I only ever got that one time in the entire game. The other vehicle you can drive besides the tank is the helicopter. The helicopter, like the tank, is also really fun to pilot, and it will allow you to traverse the water sections. But good luck trying to get one. Unlike the tank, they don't come up very often. In my playthrough, I ever only had to use the helicopter once in the final level, and it even glitched out on me while using it. Like other shooters, there are different colored enemies in the game. Blue enemies don't do anything when killed, but red enemies drop power-ups, and green enemies will drop a special that will kill all enemies on the screen, which actually wasn't that useful. The most useful power-ups have to be the shotgun, the speed boosts, sniper, and the grenade radius increases. As far as other enemy designs go, there are also enemy tanks, super tanks, turrets, helicopters, and a few enemy reskins here and there. In addition to all of this, there are special enemy types like snipers, scuba divers, rocket launchers, guided missiles, barbarian stick guys, mines, turrets, ancient booby traps, futuristic laser people, and even enemies that hide in barrels and have riot shields, which I thought were all creative. The enemy types and varieties were all very impressive to say the least. The enemy attack patterns are also pretty creative and did make the experience interesting to play through. Some enemies will walk around and actually don't do anything at all. Some will fire randomly around the screen, some will actively search out for you, and some will just lie in wait for you to get closer. The play strategy is all there and actually well implemented, but the controls get in the way yet again. Let's talk a bit about the levels again. For one, the first level is almost impossibly long. Why they didn't make different subsections for each level, I will never know. As you play, you will not believe how long these levels are, and not in a good way. Did I mention there are no continues or checkpoints in this game either? Along with the controls, this is a huge misstep in the game design, and combine that with no health bar, and the game is really just too difficult to have fun with. Your best bet while playing is upon running out of lives, smash A, BBA to continue playing. Although this is a cheat, it pretty much is necessary to progress through the game. There is a lot of great gameplay mechanics to enjoy here, but there are too many issues with the same gameplay mechanics to have any enjoyable experience with. Fun factor is a tricky one. Yes, the game is fun, but most of the time it isn't. Most of the time, it's frustrating and just plain annoying to play. I think the two-player aspect is a real plus in this department, but good luck trying to find someone to put up with it. Overall, the game really isn't that fun, which is disappointing because I think it could have been so much better. I'll need to play the arcade version one of these days to see how it compares overall. Current listings as of 2022 show a loose price average of $9.74, with a roughly 55-cent price increase per year. Well, is the game worth it? I think even for the low price tag, Ikari Warriors really isn't worth it to pick up. I recommend getting this game for under $4 if you really still are interested in playing it. I guarantee most people will never get past the first level of this game without getting upset or frustrated. The controls are just too bad to give a solid recommendation for, and without a life bar, the game is just too difficult. I have to say, I really did want to like this game more, but there is just too much holding it back. Although I haven't played the other versions, I have read that the arcade version was implemented much better, and I hope to play that one day. And I know there are a lot of die-hard fans of the series out there, and I hope to review the other two games on the NES soon, so look out for that. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Drop us a like, and if you enjoyed the content, subscribe for more and hit the bell for notifications. Well, till next time, this is The Thrift Gamer.